Up and running. Good stuff. Okay. Well, once again, I'm almost entirely unprepared tonight. Time caught up with me. So tonight's a good exercise in switching from one way of doing things to another. I've just been doing emails and admin and stuff, and yeah, got quite good at making those jobs last with a clever use of procrastination and dithering. They now go on for a lot longer than they should do. What an achievement. So I've got an interesting thing tonight, a little bit of an Easter theme. Excuse the grunting while my knees give way on me. Okay. So I'm just going to recoup stuff from a leftover palette. That'll do for that. Everything else is, yeah, the rest of it's all ready to go, I think. There's that bit of yellow. Put that in there. Forgot to charge my microphone this week, so if that cuts out, do let me know. I'll be keeping an eye on the messages as we go along. So if you'd like to contribute, do chip in. Don't want to keep any of that blue. No, I don't think I do. Put that there. Okay, so this I find useful. Putting myself into painting mode. It's all in the way. Well known that there's the triggers that all living, well, not all living creatures, but certainly mammals have. Response to a perceived threat, often characterized as fight or flight. But I think that's an oversimplification, and I think you can kind of train yourself to do other things. I think there might be a third one. Do let me know if anybody knows what that is. But yeah, I think we can create other responses that put us into different modes of being. Although it's not exactly a threat. Once I'm scraping this palette, I think a part of my brain is now priming itself to observe something carefully. So I'll be a bit ready for that, more ready for that when the time comes. which will be imminent. I'll probably do for that. Good. Things. Need my things. Yeah, that's not good. Might even stop and give my brushes a clean halfway through this, but just for starters. Yeah. Got this purpley colour. So I've got this lovely shiny egg, which is a very welcome gift. And I've restrained myself from eating it because it is in fact chocolate. I've got some other shiny things. Everything's a bit shiny. I'm going to do one just to give that a bit more. Oh, now I've lost the top edge of my egg, so I'm going to move that over. That's better. Yeah, okay. For some reason I'm happy with that. And I've also got this nice oval tray. So if I say I want the bottom of my egg there, and the top of my tray will be there, I'll make the egg about this size. Well, that's okay. Let's do a height to width, make an egg space first. So that's going to be 1 2/3. Yeah, pop it about there. That's the top of the tray. What angle is that up there? Great. Let's count egg widths over from the middle of the egg. So 1. Oh, it's trouble hanging on to that. That's 1.5. It's going to be from here. Half. That's the edge of the tray. Too far over. And there, it's going to be pretty much vertical. Yeah, so if I eyeball this now, it's going to do this. Around there, bottom of the tray. I'm doing a bit of measuring first here, which I don't normally do, but yeah, barely off here. See the egg again, it's somewhere near the top of this pot. So compositionally, I'm quite happy with the way these things go. Might shrink it all down a little bit, or move it all across a little bit. Probably shrink it a little. Often my paintings tend to grow a bit as they appear. Oh, we have a message already. Someone said hello. Before I start, who's joining me? Well, hello, Jason. Nice to see you. I saw your little bit of video, Jason, of the painting you've started. And I had a little thought about the nature of painting glass, which may or may not be useful to you. But, yeah, the thing I noticed was that you'd got focused on the glass itself, whereas most of the colours and things in a glass is actually the background. So if you sort of paint the background at the same time, it kind of saves some time, and also, even if the colours aren't bang on, as long as they're the same family in the background, the area around the glass, as they are in the actual glass, it will make sense. So make of that what you will. Okay, shrinking this tray a little bit. Maybe that is about right. Let's get that angle right. That seems way off now. The spoon's out. That's the end of my spoon, which would make that the front of my cloth. Yeah, just getting some big shapes in. Maybe not. That's the spoon. This is the front here. It's going to come in a lot more. Ah, got a bit too much on there. It's bringing the shape of the tray in though, so I'm happy with that. So a couple of those dark shapes there, a little bit this here. Okay, I've measured a few things now. I'm vaguely happy with that. Used up all this dark paint from the corner. It's going to be somewhere around there. This is very tricky. It's that spout, and that spout's going to go up here somewhere. That feels about right. Maybe about there. That's going to be around about the top of that coffee pot. That's as detailed as it needs to be at the moment. Everything fits in quite nicely. Okay. Ooh. Right, first thing I'm going to do is mix some of these reds. I'm going to get some mixing white. I've got some lead white there, and I will probably use that later on. To begin with, bit of mixing white will do an awful lot. Okay. More messages. I need to have a way of having these in front of me. Yes, Josie, silver things, including an egg. What? Okay, I'm going to make some violet. Right. Or purpley colour anyway. That's ultramarine and alizarin. Very, very violent violet, and very transparent as well. So a bit of an earth colour. Subdue it slightly. There's some more umber. Give it a bit of opacity. take the violetness down a bit. Now if I mix a local colour for that red in the background, I think I'll just put here, start with a bit of cadmium. Tip it slightly towards the crimson. Well, that's good. It's a very intense red. It'll certainly work in some areas down here. That's an easy enough recipe. I'm going to make some more of that because I'm going to need it. Yeah. Use it to make some of this skin. Some of this browny red for the background. And there's this purpley red. It's the shadow colour. That's probably not enough of that. And then a really deep, sort of rosier red colour. All of this is useless now. Just scrape that off. And push out some more. Do the swivelly chair as well, that's helpful. What we're going to have, we'll get all the earth colours actually. Okay, let's have a bit of burnt sienna. That'll be useful in places. A bit more raw umber as well. And these background colours are going to be really important because they'll give a contrast. They will go into the objects themselves, especially the lid of the coffee pot. Those reflections at the bottom. There's not really much in here because only this bit here at the back is facing that colour, but it will need to, it will be part of that family. It's this foreground here as well. It's going to be interesting. This is like a second dark colour I'll be using. Some burnt sienna. It'll have a little bit of this in it. It looked like I mixed loads of that colour, but actually turned out I could do with quite a bit more. Anything else? I'll have some yellow ochre as well. Again, I'm not going to bet on myself mixing a lot of these colours I'm seeing that seem very interesting of mixing them right first time. I'm going to prepare for cute prepare for the ingredients I'm going to need in order to depict them, but it'll be tiny little incremental changes at that point. So yes, broad brush stuff at the beginning. That'll do for a lot of the reds. I may as well just get them on now. Put some of this on first. It feels pretty good as a colour. Just looking at the shapes. There's places where it wanders into the objects as well, but I'm not thinking about that as much. I can put a few little bits and pieces in. It's quite pink, so there's sort of secondary shadows which are coming from the window, which are going to disappear as it gets dark. So I'm always sort of preempting them disappearing and not worrying about them too much. There's a spout around there somewhere, but I'm not worried about that just yet. That's going to be where that shadow shape goes, comes off here. Somewhere around there. Get other colour into that later on, but to begin with, do. Okay, let's do this darker one. It sits behind. Now, I was thinking of doing a load of paintings that just don't get past this stage for art weeks. Just having like just doing a whole load of underpainting pictures. Because quite often people like them at this stage, whereas I like to finish them and sort of do more to them. So already, if I put this down here, not quite doing it. Needs to be darker. I'll make a little brush mix. Use a bit of alizarin. It's just raw umber. This is also going to help tell me where the back of the tray is. That shape there. Round a bit to here. A few bits and pieces in. Well, there you go. go back to that brownie colour. I'm going to use a bit of thinners here because I want to be able to paint over the top of this. I don't want this to have much more than just a vague staining effect. Remember, that's did my little bit of drawing. It goes about vertical about here, and then it cuts in. And again, a lot of these are shadows that are created by the window, which is going to go dark. Although I have set up a lamp behind, so actually that's probably already doing the job. Oh, it hasn't got that dark. There you are. Okay. Yeah. In there, no, that's fine. Let's go back into that shadow color. This one seems okay. So that's a bit there, and it comes out of here into that, and then creates this hole. Going around. Make a bit more sense as we go along. Overwork it. Okay, let's get some of these darks in now. And it's there's a dull greeny dark, for which I will use some raw umber. A little bit of mixing white just to see what it does. A bit too shiny at the moment. And that's pretty good already. A bit redder on the inside. There's a bluer one as well. That's more in the egg and the pot. I'm going to take a bit of that. A bit of raw umber. Bit of that purple. Some suitably bluey greys. And I might mix a light colour as well. There's a sort of a yellowishness, and just use it as a soft light. So mixing white and a bit of yellow ochre. So if I'm doing a brush mix for a few lights here and there, that will be fine. No, where was I? Oh yeah. Bit with a big brush, greeny colours. Let's just put these darks on first. The lighter brown one. There you are. Try not to get too attached to lines. Keep looking at shapes. That up, and actually that comes in here. Somewhere in there. Let's jump ahead and do the spoon. Okay. It's still fairly straight there. Yeah, something a bit like that. Great. I'm going to go into the bluey one now. Just put a few of these shapes in, and this is where this shape is actually going to get defined. It's too blue at the moment, but that's all right. We can change that as it goes along. Stuff from the egg. That's the dark bit in the middle. Okay, the bluey bits that side of the spoon. I'm fussing now. Don't need to fuss about that. That's the bottom of the fold there. There's a bit more fabric. And then all of this is lower down. I'll go back to that shadow colour there. Okay, there's a few shapes coming in there anyway. Dark shapes in there. They kind of sort of travel around. As these reflections are becoming quite interesting. Okay, go back to that blue. Let's just slap a whole load of this in here. There we are. Let's go back to this red. Go on the top. There we go. Time for a little pause. Yes, clean my brushes. Huh. It's all very dark and brown at the moment. By the time I've got a few lights on there, it will make a bit more sense. Yeah, it's a fairly complex image, this, if you treat it as such. But in reality, it's just a 12 by 16 piece of board that needs covering in paint. So, and there's a limited number of choices that can be made whilst you do that in 2 hours. So it's really just about prioritizing those choices. I'm going to keep this fairly simple, and I'm going to focus my attention at the end on the egg. Maybe a little bit of spoonness. So the next things I'm going to need to do are the tea towel. For that, more mixing white. These lights are going to go up here. I'll pour a bit of that creamy colour, a little bit of raw umber just to lower the chroma. And if I look at the bright highlight on the shiny egg, I can look at a jump down towards the dark and say all of this light has to sit under. Yeah, around this level of tone, which works fine. I'll give it a bit more yellow. just to suggest there's some light falling on it. There we are. If that's the light, then the shadow is going to be closer to this than you'd think. Borrow a bit of that and a bit of that. Pop them here. See how that goes. Yeah. This is quite the balancing act. This needs to really stand out against that, which it does. It really needs to look darker than that. It does. If anything, I think it can go ever so slightly darker and warmer. Again, like I said, it's a balancing act, so the idea of pinning the tail on the donkey first time is probably a bit ambitious. Let's get a couple of colours and see how it would work. Again, I'm going to start with this dark colour in general areas. Yeah, it's going to be darker there. That'll guide me towards a shape. It's going to be here and here. And here. And also out here. Now, until the light's on, I can't judge whether that's an appropriate shadow colour. So let's put some of this light on and see what it does. Okay, got this here. Felt like that was going over an edge there. I'll just get a few of these shapes in. Just so I can see one tone against another. Okay, top of the egg. This is important to keep it balanced. So I can imagine doing paintings that don't get beyond this stage. There's a bit of a fashion for them, but I just don't find it that interesting to do them, so I don't. But there is an appeal to this stage of a painting where you're just getting these basic relationships in, getting the drawing in, and that's enough to prompt your viewer's eye, if you like, to see stuff that you wouldn't normally see. Right, I go back to this shadow color now, make it even darker and browner. That will work. That's a bit more fine-tuned now. There's room for a bit more dark to go in a bit, but for the moment that will do it. See, this is the kind of fiddling that I'd need to not do. This could also work actually for, bizarrely, sort of a greener version. That's what goes around here. That lip of the tray. Yeah, shows itself up there and it gets darker again. And it shows itself up again over here. And some highlights, and then there's a bit there. Oh yeah, something like that. Okay, where else can I see these in here? There's a few neutrals in there. Yeah, I don't want to jump too far ahead because there's places in here where there's particular colours that I think are interesting. And there is a temptation to just use whatever colour's on the brush in the meantime, even though it's not the right one, because you're seeing the things and you want to respond to them. Around here it's fine, it's really vague, it's really grey. It's more purpley up there, it's more orangey around there, as it is around here. So I won't do any of that. There is some in there, quite a bit in fact. So I'm still not completely decided on how I'm going to sort of create this wrapped foil effect. It's going to be important, certainly. And I think it's going to come down to the kind of brush strokes I make. I think they're going to be vital. And again, that's something you just can't do at the blocking in stage unless you get lucky, which can happen. I'm into brush mixes now. Oh, making this a bit darker here. Oh, don't know what happened to that. Should have been browner. This kind of needs to be bluer. A bit bluer there. Let's pop a few bits in here when the highlights turn up in a bit. Oh, that's bluer in there. Pop a bit in there too. Brown or dark in there. There's a bit more. And under here. Yeah, to an almost jet black, which I'll use this purple colour in there. So this will do for details now. All the details I'm going to need for these bits. If I can put in a bit of these extra dark colours and what have you, that will work. Same as some of the purple that goes in here, that bit's darker there. Okay, this is where those brush marks are coming in. I don't want to rush it. I don't want to get ahead of myself and do too much with that. Put a few extra dark bits here. There's some in that handle. I'm going to get as dark, but, you know. Top of that pot. No, not enough paint there. It's not doing what I want. Okay, like this. Well, part of that first layer of paint was to mean that nothing can go on too heavily at this stage. Yeah, at this point it's the highlights that are going to help out with these. Come back in with the background colour. Nothing very dark in there, so I'll leave it. There's a little bit there, but doesn't really make any difference to anything. Same as under here. Okay. What else? Put some of that red into that spoon. A little dab in there. Okay. Now I got rather carried away there, didn't I? I can go back to these lights. Put some of them into these objects where they're brightest. Same with here. That's the brightest bit there. And then I'll let them mix as they move around. So in there and here. I'm not reloading the brush, I'm just letting it mix in as it goes. I'll do the same here for those shadows underneath. Reload it a bit. We get to here and here. Even there. And here as well. Now some of these are specular highlights, so they're going to create this intense brightness, same as the one you see, the direct reflection of the light on the egg. There's one there. So there's a bit there too. There's this orangey colour turning up, which I haven't really seen before. So I've still got this in the brush. I'm going to use it for that edge because it's fairly innocuous. Create a little bit of texture. Ah! Yeah, it's good to hold the brush lightly rather than grip it, but every now and again it just goes wandering off. Oh, another message. I'll have a look at that in a second. Where was I? Oh yeah. The same kind of thing here and now. What else is that? Dash here. That's going to be highlights around there. this other colour underneath, same thing here. A bit of rhythm on that. It's going to have some bright highlights on it. Okay, I'm starting to see more and more of this sort of yellow ochre colour. I'm going to put some in there. That's good. This sort of orangey version under here. Need some deep shadow under there to really make it work. There's a bit in here. Which sits nicely behind the spoon. It sort of wanders in. Where else can I see it? I can see some in here. That will make more sense in time. There's a bit there. All of these are going to sort of produce highlights later on. This definitely had a bit more of an orangey glow to it. It's already making more sense when I put this on. Definitely creates a bit of an edge on that. That's nice to find. And in that corner. Is that enough for that? I think it probably is. Yeah, rather losing track now. Okay, yeah, it's a sort of a lighter version of this greeny colour. Let's pop a bit in there. No, that's more orange. Put some in here. I'm overdoing the thing at the back. I've got to relax about that. There's some in here. Probably a little bit there. I already put some in there. Then there's a darker version. I'm happy about that. Let's get some of this light. I'm going to mix a bluey light. It's going to go in there. Where else is there a bluey light? It's slightly purpley. Breaks up a bit. Don't go too far with it. It's quite purple under there. Yeah, bits in here as well. There's a dab and there's a dab. And else a little bit just around the side. Here. I've got to follow the shape of the egg as much as I can. Anywhere else in the background with that? A little bit here. Can I see it anywhere else? A little bit in here. Does that have any? Not sure. A little bit in there. Probably too much. Oh, what about my spoon? The bits of spoon that's got purpley light. Yes. There. It wanders across a bit. There's a pinky version. I'm making more of this orange now. Put some of that light in. That also creates a bit of a line down here. Had a bit of practice with spoons recently. I like a good spoon picture. Okay, let's really turn up this orange now. See if we can get that in a few other places. There's definitely a bit in there. That needs to be more deliberate. And a dash there. Put a bit there. That's fine. All right, yeah. There's a couple of bits. And under here. I've already done that. I'm just repeating myself now. Shake that out. That'll hold a place for a highlight. Let's go back to this greenier version. Let's put a bit of that back down there. Bring a bit of that colour in there. I'm quite sure what that's doing, doesn't matter. Now I've seen another bit of orange. Goes in here, like that. That'll do for that as well. Okay, make a brighter version. A bit more golden. And that will go in for some of the patterns on the what would you call it? Yeah, I guess it's kind of wallpaper, isn't it? Wrapping paper. Papery. Even. That light enough. Not quite. Very, very close though. Good enough for that bit. here. Yeah, there's a little placeholder for where the highlights are going to go. That will do. Okay, well, I've got this dark brush on the go. And go back to some of these greeny darks. Really establish darker than that even. There we are. Where else does it go? That doesn't need any more help. Back to my reds. Got this red in the background up here, which was this one. I'm going to borrow some of this light colour. Do a little brush mix. Needs to be more yellow. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that'll help me refine a few shapes, increase that contrast for that shadow. Do that again. I don't want to go too far with this because it will mix on the surface. So we can use it to create an edge here and there. Give me a bit more contrast. Also make the edge of that shadow seem a bit blurrier. We've now got two tones in between. Let it fade out towards the edges. That's good. Fine. Right, where else does that go? We'll pop a bit in there. That's reflecting. Can't even see the colours up there. It's shining in my eyes. Break this up a little bit. Right. A bit in there. A bit on the top of that. Not overdo it. Put on there. Oh yeah, I'll use this same red for these stripes. Anything else? Have a bit of that in there. That's fine. No, I'm doing for time, but seems to be going all right. Right. Make some of these dark yellows just to create some of these patterns. Some of this would be better off going on top of the pink colour, so maybe I'll do some of that. Okay. Yeah, it's too much to paint everything individually, but what I can do is get some of these basic shapes in. Comme ça. Getting a bit impatient there. Pink at the bottom there. Anything else? Pop a little bit of that in there. Maybe a slightly lighter version. A bit of pink, nice. What else could do with that? You could do with a bit there. You could do with a little dash there. Do you want some? Don't know. Right, enough of that. And right, the last bits we can do. Oh yeah, I have this brown colour, didn't I? That's it. I think that's it. Oh yeah. A few of these seemed very dark when they were down at the front, and they become a lot more golden just a bit further over. Hey, that's nice. Okay. Is there any wrap for this? Yeah, let's pop a bit in there. Those marks are too deliberate and almost too confident, really. No, that's not right. I'll do for that. The coffee pot works in the background. I want it to all be about this egg and partly this spoon. Okay, yeah, nothing more to do with that. Quite fun. Right. Strong blue colour here. A bit in there as well. Put that in there. Yeah, there's a nice kind of bluishness that's travelling around in places. There's a bit there. Probably a bit in there, quite a bit describing that shape. That'd help. Right, while I've got this blue going then, where else does it go? It goes under here. There's a stronger colour that the reflections go on top of. So I'll pop that in. Comes up here as well, then it goes a bit more neutral. Right, okay, where else is that? No, it's not there. Now approaching the realm of the highlights. Not the brightest highlights first. Maybe I can. Not do it. Not happy with that. Still got my light colour in the background, so I can still shape some of the things that happen with that. There we are. Put some of that in. Yeah, that'll be okay. The surface a little bit more. Yeah, this still isn't the very brightest highlights, but it's paving the way. And this will be key to getting some of that foil effect. And these sort of minor dashes of light. Do the same thing here. All right, these are the lighter bits going on. Yeah, bit fuzzy. There we go. Still not the bright lights, but a few. It kind of feels foily. Maybe that's too much now. Right, I have here a very stodgy bit of flake white. And use that to make some really sort of sticky paint. It sort of holds its shape. It's sort of almost stringy. But the way it sort of sits for highlights, the kind of marks you can make with it, as opposed to these sort of rather neat slabs of titanium white, it will string out and have a brightest bit and a darker bit. And it's not easy to get anymore. So apparently we can't be trusted not to eat it. There we go. That's kind of foily. Put a few bits on here before I get to those warm highlights. Now, while I've got those cooler lights, sort of all warmer highlights over here. Don't really see anything else. What about on the tray? Oh. Same kind of thing here. Yeah. Same up here. Have a highlight on that. Oh, flash of light on there. Oh, ding on the end of the spoon. That didn't quite come off. Ah, yes, there are a couple of cool lights on here. There's one. There's one bright at the top, gets lighter as it goes down. That's a very cool light there. Just sits in here. And some of these highlights kind of reflect each other, which is weird. There's a bit of a bright bit. There, let that blur in a little bit. Any others? Oh, that's there. It's definitely a sort of little bit of a sort of scratchiness. None of it gets too bright, but there's little tiny parts that are just a bit lighter than the others. Yeah, like that. Right. Oh, last bit is the bright highlight. The warm highlights. Oh, just a bit. A little dab there. That might be enough. Awful cheeky. Okay, you get some of that flake white. And I'm going to use the tiniest little bit of, oh, that's too much. Yeah, let's soften that down. Put a bit of yellow there. Hey. Oh, some comments. Let's, before I do the final flourish, let's see. Oh, hi, Michelle. What's that, Jason? Yeah, the thing about the seeing tone and color thing, I was saying at the beginning that there were things that I recognized were going to be important, but there was no way I could sort of know at the beginning. I just had to have a rough stab at it and work in a way where I could correct it once I found out what I'd done horribly wrong, which is it's always going to be something. Oh yeah. Okay, so these are my little golden highlights. I'll start with this yellow. I'm not going to let it get too bright. There's room for a few little bright bits, but not many. Not all of it's sort of 100% super bright white. There's probably enough of that, to be honest. Put an extra bit into here. Give it some cloudy light. Same here, actually. That's not quite enough. Right. No, I'm not happy with that at all. I'm happy enough with it. I'm actually going to scrape it. Introduce a little bit of titanium white just to really. Oh, that's more like it. My eyes are getting a bit tired now. Just seeing a few other things. One is stuff I can do to sort of make more of this detail, especially the highlights at the edges. Okay. So as Easter eggs go, I think that's it's quite a fun one. Feels like it's having a good time, doesn't it? It makes quite a difference, actually, doesn't it? Right, where was I? Oh yeah, some of this golden light. It's going to go in here, here. I'm happy with that. Here. We've done a few flashes of that. Done that blue one. Yeah, that gets very bright. I believe the bongs from the Abbey say that that's 9 o'clock. I can't complain about this, really. Is there anything obvious I've missed? Don't think so. I think, yeah, that's an acceptable egg. a bit more light on that. Is the spoon okay? I think the spoon's okay. Doesn't need any more help, does it? Oh, little splash of light there. No, if I fiddle any more, it won't make it better. He says, looking for things to fiddle with. Does need spreading out a little bit. Almost tempting to sort of get the spatula on it. I'll spread this light out of it and go back in with those highlights, and then that'll be it. So it'll give a sense of a glow then. It's not really stiff flake white. Just lay it on there. Right, didn't make any difference, which means it's time to stop. That little highlight on that spoon doesn't do anything. A little flash of light in the middle. That'll do for that. Sign it. Stop fiddling with it. Things I might have done differently with the background. But yeah, I don't, yeah, just be too self-critical. I think I'll sign it in this violet colour. Let's have a little look. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. Oh, there we go. Now, that's what I'm seeing tonight. It's there. My view of it. And we get right in there. There's my shiny foil egg. With my spoon and my tray. And there's the coffee pot in the background. So very happy Easter to everyone, and I will see you next week for more. Cheerio.